Hello. Recently I had the opportunity to process a few videos that I'd taken with my Polaroid camera, and I thought it'd be a good idea to take this opportunity and compare two of my favorite editors, Openshot and Kdenlive. Openshot is the newer of the two editors, and I would say it's geared more towards regular, less demanding video consumers. Kdenlive has been around a bit longer, but let's start with Openshot. So you open it, and typically you would import your clips that you've taken, that you've uploaded from your camera into the project file navigator. So we'll do that with two clips. We'll start with the first one. So we'll drag it onto the timeline. You notice that it actually snapped to the beginning, so it didn't matter if I got it right spot on or not. It helps me out a little bit there. And I can preview what's happening in my video preview window. A lot of my video turns out to be sideways depending on what angle the camera was mounted at. So typically I have to rotate it. The rotating part is pretty simple. There's a rotate menu item for 90 degrees. Play a little bit more, I will see the results. However, you'll notice that it doesn't fill the entire screen. And that has to do with the resolution, and I'm not exactly sure why. So this highlights one of the problems that I have with Openshot. Everything happens in these clip properties, and there are two keyframes. Keyframes are markers that you can set in the video where you want some effect to be interpolated. For example, let's say scrolling credits. You might want to have them start at the top and go to the bottom. They have this, these two keyframes for zooming and position as well. So you could never just zoom by updating one value. You always need to do two. So let's try it here. I'm going to put in 175 just because I know then it'll be the right size. Now if I just leave it at that and I hit play, you notice that it's bigger, but it's positioned way too far in the bottom right hand corner. And it's actually moving slowly but surely. If I move to the middle of the clip, you'll see it. It's moving slowly but surely to the top. That's what happens if you don't update both the start and the end. So I need to update the end as well. 175 here and 175 here. And for the X and Y values, I have to guess a little bit. I have to experiment to see which value actually puts me right dead smack in the middle. So this is a bit problematic. A common action you take when you're processing video is to split your clips up into multiple scenes, perhaps with the intention of removing something in the middle. I'm just going to put, let's see, let's put this back to 100% just so I can see what's on the screen. Okay. So let's say that I want to cut out a little bit of video in the middle here. You can click on, well, you could just click on the scissors here and make a cut this way. But if you're doing this a lot, let's say 25 to 50 times for a video, you really need to figure out how to use the keyboard. And there's a good help screen available that shows you exactly what you need to do. Aha, this is what we want. Tab button. Sorry, not tab. It's slice. Slice all clips at the playhead position. So let's try that. Simply put my playhead here somewhere where I want to start slicing. Hit the C button, and notice that we now have two clips. So we'll make one more. We'll slice it there. And now to remove this, I can hold down my shift key and hit my left mouse button, and gone. And maybe we'll make, I'm also going to import my second clip here. So I've got this gap here, and I need to move this clip over. This is going to highlight another problem that I've got. Actually, I've got multiple problems right now. First of all, remember, we rotated the first part of the clip, but as soon as you slice it, you're back to square one on that second clip. So you're going to have to repeat your operation here to rotate that. You have to do that for every time you slice. Now, let's say I want to move this over a bit. Fine, I can close up the gap, but now I've got my gap over here. In other words, the following clips didn't move along. There's a way to get around that. I believe it is, how does that work again? Shift clips. But you have to know exactly how many seconds to shift by. So you might say minus 15 seconds perhaps, but it's a bit of guesswork then. You can't just drag everything over. So that was a big problem for me, especially when I have a big timeline with lots and lots of clips following. I don't want to have to guess how many seconds I need to go by. Now, as far as managing transitions between clips, well, that works pretty well. You click on the transition tab here, and you drag the transition down, and it does the rest for you. Nothing more required. So now if I play that, you can see how it seamlessly managed that for me, the fade effect. So that's cool. That's not very difficult at all. Let's do that over here as well. Drag our transition over here, and it knows that it's transitioning from the bottom to the top. Again, that part I'm impressed with, how easy it is to add those transitions. Now the reason this last clip is upside down is because I don't know why. I think I must have turned the camera, but that's easy enough to fix. Rotate 180, flip it, and that fixes that. So for sure there's some nice things to be able to do here, and there's some things that are not so nice. Transitions, dissolve, that's real good. I don't like how you can shift all the clips over when you take something out. That's a pretty common operation to do. Okay, now let's try it with Kdenlive. Kdenlive is similar at the beginning. You add your clips to the project navigator. I'll just choose the same two clips, and I will drag them onto our timeline. Again, it snaps into place, and it looks pretty similar. There's some differences here. You can actually cut your clips before you even drag it down to the bottom. So you've got this clip previewer even before this is in the timeline, and you could tell it where to cut the clip. I don't know if it's just habit or why I chose to do this, but I usually like to put it down on my timeline before I start messing with it. So let's do that here. Slicing is pretty easy. I can hit Shift R. That's pretty simple. Oh, I forgot a step. Let me Control Z to undo that. How do I rotate this? So I rotate this by adding an effect. Actually, I can do it via the tab here. And this is one of the really nice features, is you can save effects. So I've got these rotate 90-degree effects all ready to go, and they automatically zoom the results for me. So it's a standard rotate effect, and you can save this as a reusable type of effect once you've got the values where you want them to be. So this is very useful for operations that you continue to do over and over. You notice, let's do a slice here. Shift R is the shortcut. If you're ever not sure about what the shortcuts are, you go on Settings, Configure Shortcuts, and you see them all listed. In fact, you can override them if you want. Cut Clip is the one we were using here. Okay, so remember in Openshot how when you sliced it, the second clip didn't have the rotation or the effect anymore? Kdenlive does keep that effect. So I don't have to re-rotate my ensuing clips. So now we'll do a second cut here. We'll say I want to remove. We're going to remove that in the middle. First, I'll drag my new clip here. Now, let's remove that in the middle. Again, as before, we've got a gap. If I just move things over, I now have a gap here. That's clearly not what you want. Instead, you hit the M button, which is the equivalent of selecting the spacer tool. M for move. And now, when I move the clip, everything behind it follows suit. Hit the S again to put me back to my regular selection tool. And now I can drag this over here, overlap it a bit, put this guy on the next track, just like that. Now what about transitions? Transitions are pretty easy to manage. You just look for the little green handle in the corner, hit it, and that's it. Over here, hit it, and that's it. So that is not too bad at all. Now there's a little bit of stutter right now, just while it's trying to process this fast enough to show me live the changes. But once I've rendered it, there's no stutter. So this one was upside down. Again, I'm going to be looking for a rotate effect. I've got a 180 here. Done. So what I guess I'm trying to show is that for the very common tasks of cutting and splicing clips and getting the perspective right, Kdenlive seems to be superior. It's more ergonomic. I can process more video in less time.